Hey guys, my name is Kolter. I'm a producer from around Cologne in Erftstadt. And today I want to show you a little bit of my studio setup when I get into the zone. So yeah, looking forward to that. This is right now my basic, my main foundation I think for almost every track that I do right now. The Roland MC-909, not the TR-909. It's like a old drum groovebox. Yeah, I think it's been released as a groovebox, and you can basically do whole tracks with these. It has an integrated mixer and a crazy kind of beam system, you know, to control it even with your hands. And yeah, there are all the sounds in there which I loved, you know. I just had to listen to kind of beats that came out of it, and I was already sold. So I got myself first the MC-505, and I already used it to the max. So I thought, yeah, I love it so much. I need to have more of that somehow. So I discovered that there's a 909 version of it, which is obviously the bigger version. So it has to have more sounds in it, which I love. I mainly use it just to trigger it through MIDI and, you know, to get certain sounds of it that I love. There are some loops in there, and if you just like a certain element of it, you know, you can just mute everything and except for the part which you want to have in it. So if I was to use just this loop or something and I want to tweak it, you know, I can fast it forward, you know, make it faster here. It's like a pitch fader, like on turntables, you know, and just record it, you know, and then tweak it in Ableton or something. Yeah, now I got a little MIDI controller, or MIDI keyboard, which I'm controlling this thing with. So if I, for example, like to record like the pad, which I have on channel 7 here, I can just do that, or choose the certain elements in the loop which I thought sound good. I love it. It's right now my most favorite thing in the studio. Because of the MC-505, I became a big fan of the grooveboxes in general. Because you know, when you buy a synthesizer or something, they're always usually good for one thing, but so I just had a little search on the internet and looked for something that is a little bit similar to the other grooveboxes that I have already, and I found the Yamaha RM1X. That's what it's called. I approach it just basically the same way that I do with all the other ones. I'm still not really there yet with figuring out the sequencer and everything, you know. But I figured a way out to get a hold of all the sounds which are in there. So these grooveboxes are made to be able to create everything in the track that you need, you know. So the same way that I approached the MC-909, for example, as another sample bank, I love to have this one really right next to my MIDI keyboard to be able to trigger it. Again, if I search for certain sounds in the track that I want to have, kind of freaky drum sounds, for example, in them, I think. You know, and if I search for exactly these sounds, you know, I would just turn the volume up here. You know, I can just trigger this boy here with my MIDI keyboard. So if I want to have some instruments, some cool ones. Sometimes I would do the same as I did with the other groovebox and, you know, go through loops which are pre-made on this thing. I think I even discovered something that the Prodigy used as well in there. This thing is approved, I would say. This boy is also really helpful in the studio. That's why I have it right next to me as well. You know, both of them are just gold for digging for sounds which you need in the track. And at some point I think I'm gonna try to get a hold of these, of another floppy disk, I think, for new sounds when I included them all already. So this is the Nordlied. It still is my favorite kind of synthesizer that I own. I got the Nordlead A1, and I think I got it because back then when I was just starting out to make music, it was the cheapest one to get. The other ones which are bigger and more expensive, but I still think this is the best one you can get from them. I use it in every track if I need to, you know, just fill the void, fill the gaps, you know. I think it has the most awesome pads. I use it sometimes for leads as well. You know, it's not super harsh. You know, this is what other synthesizers I think are better for. But just to create some really lush kind of melodies, I think it's the best thing to have, and I still come back to it every once in a while. Just need to have a listen to it to understand what I mean. You know, just. The involvement in it that is already there. It's just the perfect start for a deep house track already, if you ask me. And yeah, I've been using it for so long now just because of that reason. I rarely used it for bass sounds, but I also did that in the past. I have to admit that I'm also not good with this to make a sound from scratch. I never really go too deep into the sound creation. That's why this thing is even better, because all the presets that come along with it. The reverbs on it are also super cool. You can choose between 3 ones. The stage 2, stage 1 in the room. And also you're able to combine certain reverbs with each other. I guess you can do that with all the Nordleads, but this is a feature which I only discovered here so far, on the Nordlead so far. I always use this reverb if I can, you know. I don't try to record it as dry as possible and then process it in Ableton. I always use the reverb that this thing has to offer already, because it's so nice. And yeah, also the frequency and resonance, you know. I guess this is what all the synthesizers are. Differentiate from each other, you know, the way that they cut the frequencies and that the resonances are created. But this thing does it so well, and I'm still a big fan after all those years. I think I have it for 10 years now, and I'm still a big fan of it. This is a bad boy. It's also a little bit of a love and hate relationship to it, because I have the feeling that when you turn the Oberheimer on, it's the OB-6 by the way, I have the feeling that if you turn it on, it needs at least half an hour to really get warm. You know, if you press a note, you know, because usually you're working on a track and you're looking for some sounds in the Oberheimer maybe that you could put in. And you know that for example, you work in C minor or something and you press C, it doesn't come out as the C. You know, it needs a lot of warming up time until the notes are in its position that they're supposed to be. Maybe I got a bad model or something, I don't know. But that's also the beauty, I think, of it. If I'm really not looking for any sound in particular and I just want it to be freaky a little bit, you know, I use it right away, and you know, it doesn't always have to fit the scale so much, you know. This thing, I have no idea what I'm doing, even less than with the other ones, let's say like this, you know, but it always has some nice little, you know, some nice little time points where you think like, what the fuck just happened, you know? And if you want to integrate that in a track, that's usually a really cool thing to integrate, right? So yeah, I love this thing. It is, yeah, I would call it like a rude boy, or a cheeky little boy who doesn't want to behave the way that you want it to be. You know, I bet there are a few people out there, or a few music producers who know how to really get into this thing, but I don't actually, that's the fun part for me. This is actually one of the synthesizers that I use the sequencer a lot for, because I think it's really well integrated into it. So one of the sounds which you would never really expect to come out of it, but are super nice and make So it's a really, really fun thing to do, you know, to give him some notes like. And then here you can tell him which way he should go through the notes, you know. You can assign it, you know, this is, he went through it because that was the kind of order that I pressed the buttons here. But you can also tell him to just go up and down the whole time. Or just up. He doesn't do it actually. See, there's again the boy that doesn't behave. The next one, I have to dust it a little bit off because I've not really been using it for some time, but I just figured out on this session that I need to really use it again. And also a built-in compressor that works magically on it as well. Because I don't really have a lot of like outboard processing gear, you know. I don't have racks with compressors and limiters and, you know, the things which usually make the magic happen a little bit more, or which add the final magic touches to sounds that you've been recording. So I like that this one has a built-in compressor already, which sounds super nice. And yeah, I would also describe the sounds that this one gives me as a little bit more of a metallic vibe. So if I'm working on like a dub techno, a dub house number, I would usually try to get something out of this baby. This one already is a nice sound, like I don't know how you call it, but it's like an electro bass line. And you can hear a certain crisp on it already, which is created, I think, by the processor. And also, I really, really love the voice mode, which acts more as a synthesizer on top of it. You can always select in the voice mode the chord, you know. That's a nice little ravey sound that you could use. I think you hear these kind of sounds a lot in the 90s records. As a chord and then, you know, as if it's sampled. You know, that's already nice. I think I don't want to talk any further because I want to use it in the track now. And yeah, it has a lot of different cool other presets, I think, which we don't really need to go through right now. But I think I really will stop this right now and put it in my sample bank a little bit, you know, the certain sounds, because I was looking for this sound for some time now and I just got it randomly by showing you it.